Hello, everyone. For those who are just joining us, we're in the middle of CFO Connect Summit Demo Day. There are a number of tools out there that support finance with AI, but we know that you don't have time for scheduling endless demos. So that's why today we've brought the best in breed to you so that you can sit back, relax, and discover. So, on that note, up next are our friends at Drivetrain. So, a little intro. Drivetrain is an AI native business planning platform that helps companies accelerate budgeting, reporting, and forecasting. But let's not hear that from me. Welcome to the stage, Kirk, who's going to walk you through everything. So I'll leave it to him, but just don't forget in the meantime, use the Q&A tab on the right-hand side for questions. Explore the resources tab. Drivetrain has handpicked some great insights and materials for you. And at the end, there will be a poll so that you can actually request to talk immediately with Drivetrain, and that way their team will know to get in touch right away. So, Kirk, welcome, and I'll pass over the microphone to you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Looking so forward to showing everybody Drivetrain here today. Got a couple slides I'll walk you through just to give you an overview about who Drivetrain is, and then we can go into a little bit more of a demo, which is I know what everyone is here to see. So we are an AI native business planning platform. What this means is that we are completely global. We don't require you to be on site or anything along those lines. We've got teams all over the world, and our founding team comes from this list of icons you can see right here. Top of this, we've been trusted by leaders across the industry. Here you can see some companies, public, private in nature. We work a lot with VC firms, fractional CFOs. Typically, you'll see us with either the strategic finance team, the HR team, if they do headcount planning, or the office of the CRO for sort of that revenue forecasting piece as well. Okay, now, one thing we're seeing in the market, and we all know this, AI is 10xing every single function. In engineering, you've got Cursor, which is making coding 10 times faster. In sales, you've got Clay, which is making the prospecting process 10 times faster as well. The question is, what is going on with finance, especially in the AI space? So there's a lot of AI tools out there. We've got Claude, Gemini, GPT. How can we leverage all of these to put together new concepts or ideas? They all have their own individual traits, but can they be consolidated into a platform that makes it easier for the strategic finance department to model out their financial future? And here's the thing, those tools are great at a lot of things, but they can't really hit on these specific topics here in a collaborative fashion. And so if we can pull all these together and hit those specific to your company, that would make life a lot easier. That's exactly what we're focusing on here. We need to be able to integrate with our systems, real-time data, complex understanding of your data, because companies, the more data they have, the more you're going to be able to pull out of it. And then seamless collaboration across your teams, the teams that I mentioned before, while keeping your data secure. ISO 27001, GDPR compliant. How do we link all of these pieces together? We're going to launch a poll really quickly here for you guys. Really interested in your feedback on this. Then we're going to jump specifically into the demo. Okay, so definitely answer that poll. And then we'll jump into what Drivetrain is all about. Got a couple questions coming in too. That's good. Really looking forward to that. Definitely keep those questions coming because I'll be answering all of those at the end there. All right, so when we talk about Drivetrain, there's a couple different things that we want to go over. The charts, the models, they're all beautiful, but where this all starts is in the integration page. We want to be able to connect all of our systems, whether I have 15 instances of Zero like this customer did, and I need to consolidate all of those into Drivetrain dataset, or whether I've just got one system, such as Google Sheets, Bamboo HR, a couple of these. We connect with a variety of systems. You've likely don't have a system that we haven't connected with. We've connected with over 800. This goes from accounting and ERP systems. There's a lot of those. Spreadsheets, CRMs are becoming more and more common. Databases and warehouses are becoming more common still as people try to centralize their data. But even things as obscure as currency exchange providers for multi-currency, multi-entity. All of these different pieces are important so that we can drill into them and work with this data. But you want transparency with your data as well. So when I click in on any of these data sets, I can actually see the data that's flowing in. But you'll notice here this little icon. Every time you see this icon throughout Drivetrain, it is some sort of AI feature. And I've actually prepared a prompt here where I've said, calculate the age of customers in months based on the difference between the contract start date from this data set and the contract end date from this data set, or termination date, or today's date, whichever is easier. I've tried to make this as complicated as possible, just because this is what would take a long time for an analyst to do, let's just say. Now, when I click this button, Drive AI is now calculating that age. And now over here, I can see the age of that customer based on that extremely complex wording that I gave it before. But perhaps I want to go a little bit deeper still, and I want to say, hey, can you just flag all the contracts that are terminated or expired with canceled payment as churned customers? I just want to add a little tag here to my data set. This might be what we call data enrichment in Drivetrain. Now, similar to before, as I click this through, I'll now see anything that is a churned customer. This is Drive AI as a data analyst. The reason this is important, this sort of tagging feature, is because now when I jump up to my reports, let's jump over here, I'm going to be able to want to splice by those different data sets. Here I can see a multi-entity, multi-currency company's P&L. Maybe I want to see it by APAC. And now the entire page updates for me for APAC. Now, maybe it makes more sense if I'm in APAC to review it in the Australian dollar. I can do that here. If for fun, I just want to see APAC in the Mexican peso, I'm more than welcome to do that. This is a part of consolidation, multi-entity, multi-currency, extremely important. And likely, if you're doing these things, you are going to be having intercompany eliminations. And intercompany eliminations, we actually treat as the addition of an entity. So if you have 10 entities, now you have 11. The power of all of this is whenever you show underlying data in Drivetrain, you see the individual transactions that make up any given cell that you've clicked on. You'll also notice right here, if I was to click on these, it would actually bring me to that transaction. NetSuite, SAP, Xero, Sage Intacct. That's where it's going to bring me to show each and every single one of those items. All right, so this is super cool. This isn't the only place that we want to be able to do our data edits, right? How do I actually go about creating these different things, right? There's a lot of different ways that we've seen this Drive AI and AI features be used. This is yet another one. This here is Drive AI Chatbot. You can ask it to not only give you information, but to create things for you. Here, one recent addition we've had is say, hey, create a P&L dashboard with a few KPI charts, a table showing the income statement, and a few bar charts showing the trends, okay? Now, this is gonna run in the background. While this is doing this, let me jump over to a personal tenant of mine to show you a different feature, because that's gonna take about a minute or two. Here, you'll also notice I've kind of got this monthly P&L. I've also done actuals versus budget. And of course, I could go into this data and spend a bunch of time trying to analyze it and understand it. One thing you'll notice is this is broken out by what we call dimensions: revenue by region, COGS by department. But if I want to change any of these dimensions, I should be able to. So now that I've clicked account category, it splices it out by account category. If I wanted to go deeper and say, well, professional consultancy services, I'd really love to see by vendor, I can go deeper still. And remember, underneath each of these, no matter how granular I go, I can click on any cell, show that underlying data, and immediately bring me to the deepest level of data in there. But all of this BVA, it takes time. So if I click this icon yet again, Drive AI for BVA will show up. Now here, maybe I want to aggregate this at a quarterly level and do my own little analysis on the side. Now I can see it quarterly coming through right here. Maybe I want to disaggregate this data by a different level or aggregate it to a higher level. While I'm doing this, Drive AI for BVA is going to write its own commentary. And maybe I'm happy with the commentary, maybe I'm not. You're going to see here that I'm going to be able to write whatever I like, add whatever I like to that specific commentary. If we jump back to, let's take a look at here we go. At our other chart, you can see it's creating that chart for me right now. Here it is. I can see I'm in the editor function. Everything you see right here is all Drivetrain's features, but edited for by my prompt. So maybe I go, okay, well, this timeline I want to change. Let's bring it back to 2024 specifically. That's really all I want to see. Now I can see each chart update. Maybe I see, okay, this chart's a little bit off kilter. I want to bring you up here. We'll add you as like a little divider right here between each of these guys. And maybe just for the fun of it, I go into the appearance section, change some of the colors, right? I can break this down however I like. Now, all of this, everything you see available to me, completely customizable. And it's all a matter of clicking. There's no coding in Drivetrain ever. I can drill down by the data if I choose to. Maybe I want to see something by department, by month, by department, in fact. So now for the month I clicked on, which was April, I can see that breakdown. Maybe for general and admin, I actually want to see the transactions. So I show the underlying data. This is what we want to do in order to get to answers quicker. Okay. Now, if I jump back to our Drive AI for BVA, I can see it's created a little bit of a commentary for me. All of this that you're seeing before, that right here, this is all once again created by our instance of AI. Maybe this is good enough for me, but maybe I have some questions. So I follow up and say, explain EBITDA variance percentage for the board in 100 words, just because I don't want to do the work and I prefer someone else to do it. I don't lose my original page. That's still there. But now I can see that this is flowing through as well. One thing you'll notice about all of this is that as I'm doing this, I can add it to the report at the end. I don't need to copy and paste all this wording. I don't need to rewrite it or anything along those lines. It's all available to me. The whole point of what I'm showing you here is that Drive AI can not only act as the analyst that's manipulating your data, it can be a creator of your data, and it can also be an analyst of the scribe for your data. So maybe now over here, I go, okay, this is good. I'll keep that for later. But this one, I actually want to add it to my report. So now down the bottom here, all that wording that we just saw, I'm going to drag that up here. Maybe I beautify this a little bit, make it a little prettier. Maybe I want to add my own line item and say, like, ultimately revenue came at, and now I can actually reference the revenue metric. You can see here we've got the section for metrics. That's what I'm referencing right here. So now if I was to click save, I don't lose any of my wording, but that revenue metric that I mentioned before, it's now a number. And this is dynamic. So of course, if I come up here and I say, yeah, let's just take a look at like October to December for this whole report. So too will that number change. It's going from 52 to 13 million. Okay? This is super cool stuff. And this is all within the tool, but there is a deeper question. And now I'm going to show you something that we only have. We are the only tool that I'm aware of on Earth that has the ability to MCP with this as a strategic finance tool. And that is our ability to MCP as a server into Claude. So let me reshare my screen here because I actually want to share my whole screen now, which is not only terrifying, but extremely valuable. So we'll jump into this. Here, I've MCP'd Drivetrain into Claude. This is my personal Claude account. All the permissions that you would expect in Drivetrain knock onto this as well. And now I could create a new chat. And I might say, okay, what is my, let's say, revenue per FTE in Drivetrain? Now, all of the data that's available for me within Drivetrain is available for me here. It will pull that out and it'll start doing its analysis. You say, okay, well, what's the point of this versus Drive AI? Well, Drive AI is limited to the data that's within your Drivetrain instance, which is extremely valuable because you're going to want to ask questions about your revenue. You're going to want to ask it to create metrics or reports for you. But what happens when I want to start doing industry benchmark comparison? What happens when I want to take the data that I have in Drivetrain and compare it against the data in the rest of the world? This is where this comes into play. And so now I can see, based on your Drivetrain data, here's your revenue per FTE most recently. That's coming in. So now I go, okay, well, actually, I want to see this compared to industry benchmarks. And so now as I do this, how does this compare to industry benchmarks for companies of my revenue range? Present it as a table. So now, to the best of Claude's knowledge, it will go into that industry benchmarks and break it down. As always, of course, you're going to want to drill into your data more at a deeper level, and all of that is available to you. Now, while it's doing this, let's just quickly jump over to my Slack instance. And that's because Slack is also a place where I can create and work with a lot of Drivetrain's data. For example, I might say something like this. Over here, I've prepared one where I've asked Drivetrain to give me a comparison of my Q1 2024 to Q1 2025 performance. Already, it's replied. And here it is. I have no username found. Okay, perfect. That is an error on my end. But, oh, there we go. It follows up with all of this data right here. Maybe I go a little bit deeper and I go, okay, well, actually, let's respond one step further to this trend. And I ask a what if question. What happens to our profit if operating expenses increase by 20%? So now Drivetrain will jump back in, hopefully, if it's doing its job, and it will respond to that one as well. Now, all of this, the big question here is, where does this come from? How do I actually create all of this data? This is all AI driven. Okay, so let me jump back over here to my models really quickly. Let's jump over to this Drive App Hub. When I launch any of these individual apps, it will come out and completely create that three statement financial model or that headcount model or our pipeline movement walk for me. It's completely automated. So when I actually launch these, I think I've created one for you here. Yeah, here it is. This is one that I've created, completely generated from AI. If I jump into my three statement model, for example, all of these three statements will be linked together as any three statement model should be. But my payroll expense, vendor cost expense, assumption centers, they're all feeding each of these, what you might think of as tabs in Excel, right? But this is in Drivetrain. So obviously here, I've got all this granularity. I've got my revenue broken down by region. That's predicted based off of the AI function. But for COGS, I've used a different dimension. I want a department. And for GA, I wanted to stack those dimensions by department and account category. So now I can see those departments and I can see those account categories underneath them. It just determines how deeply you want to forecast. Now, keep in mind, when you're writing formulas, you don't want to rewrite a new language. You just want to use the function that you've learned from Excel. All of our functions are DAX expressions. They're just Excel functions. If, and, or, min, max, end of month, beginning of month, date, diff, sum, average. All the things us modelers already know and love, that's what we get to leverage. We just get to tap into the world of AI as well, automate the actuals incoming, automate the creation of reports, and automate modeling. Now, I know we're coming to the end here, and I want to be respectful of time. Maybe with the last couple of minutes or minute here, we can answer some questions. I see a couple of them coming in here. Do you work with Brightpearl on the inventory side? We have several inventory customers. If you go on our website, take a look at Brightpearl as a system. I'm pretty sure it's on there, but we can confirm that one. How do you connect the data sources? How long does it take to connect them? Super easy. Connecting the data sources is a matter of logging in. So if I jump back over here into Drivetrain really quickly on the data side. If I wanted to connect any of those data sources that I showed you before, you click on them and then you sign in. And that's true for every system, right? Every system's a matter of signing in right there. In fact, there's some that's even easier, like Rippling. You just paste the API key. Rippling's made it very easy to do stuff like that. How long does it take to connect them? Day one, with those 3 statement models, headcount models, you can expect about 40 minutes to sync your data through. The model creation piece with AI is like 10 minutes. Pretty incredible. We usually can't link HRIS to planning tools because of security concerns. So let's jump over here again. We work with public companies, so security is not a huge issue. Here's our website: SOC 1 Type 2, SOC 2 Type 2, ISO 27001, GDPR compliant. We have companies all over the world, billion-dollar companies, companies with $1 million of revenue, right? So in terms of that, no issue. I'm going to get kicked off, aren't I, Michelle?
I was going to give you 30 more seconds if you've got one
I'll
more
take
question.
it.
If not, any questions we don't get to, we'll send them over to you so that you can answer them directly. But I'll give you 30 more seconds.
Perfect. How do you mix data from ERP and spreadsheets? We connect with both of those, whether it's online Excel or CSV uploaded. You can link those. Probably a deeper demo to show you exactly how that works, but yes, we can do it. How do you address clients working on a stack that you are not integrated with? You can usually do CSV upload, although these days I don't really find a tool that we're not integrated with. It's normally like a government tool, if that's the case. And then, is there a type of analysis using ERP NetSuite transaction data? The data actually I was showing you today is NetSuite transactional data. Some of it was Xero, some of it was NetSuite, but those are our 2 most commonly integrated with system. And then how does Drivetrain integrate with BI tools? We actually connect with Tableau, Power BI, Looker, whatever you want. I think I've hit all of them. And then timeline to implement. 8 to 12 weeks is where 80% of the customers fall. Okay, so 8 to 12 weeks is probably like the long end. I've implemented customers as soon as 3 weeks, and then our public customers might take a little bit longer just because it's more rigorous. Sorry,
Kirk,
Michelle. I
no
appreciate
worries,
it.
Kirk. I don't know what was more impressive, being on the edge of my seat while you were producing all of those results live, or your ability to answer that many
Ah,
questions at little of time. So we do have to wrap up. We are off to our next session, and it is going to be with Spendas. Kirk and the team, I can't thank you enough. This was an impressive demo. If anyone wants to get in touch directly with the team, the link is in the chat. And for all of those joining us on the next session, we're heading over there right now. Thank you
thanks,
again.
guys.